I don't know, say people where they talk truth still dey this country. Or people will get courage like this, will get mind to stand on national TV. They reveal the secret of insecurity, the original root of insecurity. What it cause some people will cause some. If they call their neighbor, I don't know say people like this still dey. Why they turn and say women get heart pass men? You now say they lie. Please patiently watch the two videos I will show you on this video. First of all, when I first watch this one first.
To understand that. And then secondly, there is the irresponsibility of a political and military elite in Nigeria. The irresponsibility of the political elite by cashing in on this poverty. We all know what started Boko Haram. Everybody knows. It was started in Borno by the then Borno governor, Ali Sharif. He is still roaming the streets freely. Yes. When Yusuf was caught alive, who created it? The ECOMOG. Who created the ECOMOG? We have to look at the root cause in order to find a solution. The root cause of that problem, as we know it today, is Ali Sharif. He used them for his own political machinery. He armed them as his political thirds. He even made one of them a commissioner. But they became too powerful. And they had no option but to try an elimination, which was not possible, and which we are all paying for. The military came in, and they cashed in. And they have turned the Northeast into a cash cow. Military jumbo budgets, unaccounted for. I remember Jonathan was spending 2 billion naira every day on security. But there was no security. Hundreds and thousands of our people were slaughtered. And we also know that the army, more than anything else in Borno and Yobe, have contributed and enforced this so-called terrorism. Terrorism has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is not only national, but it is international. But let us talk of Nigeria, because that is what concerns me. We know, I have been part of a committee that investigated the atrocities of the Boko Haram. And that committee indicted the military more than anything else. There is no house in Borno that the military has not either killed or raped or plundered. There is no house in Borno. There has been committee after committee set up by the government. And the government has failed to bring these people to book. In fact, this current leadership of the military in Nigeria today are an extension of that one. And this government has failed to even acknowledge the reports of those investigations. We all know today that in this government, papers have been given, investigations have been made into the atrocities and the corruption in the military. We all know today that the Air Force, the papers or the investigation of the Air Force has been made public. That of the Navy has been made public. But that of the army has been swept under the carpet by this government. Because they are not only sustaining it, they are not only retaining those culprits, but they are still serving in various capacities in this government, as a government that is supposed to be fighting corruption more than any other place, or more than any other thing. Now, with this, we should also look at the irresponsibility of the political elite. The political elite in this country have done nothing but to cash in on this poverty, on this ill education of the mass majority of Nigerians. They use them, they have used you and turned your psyche into slaves, slaves of religious and ethnic manipulations. No one has ever seen the son of a governor even going out to campaign. No one has ever seen the son or the daughter of the president going out to campaign. And no son of even a councillor, not to talk of a senator or a chairman or a governor, that has been abducted or that has been slaughtered on the streets. But the idiots that call themselves the masses allow themselves to be used through religion or ethnicity to divert attention.
Una just waiting you marry talk. Una just say, tuna say with una eye. They know where Boko Haram for come. They know where it is start. They know who start time. And who start time see they roam about the streets. Now they roam about the streets. Where the citizens of the country are suffering from it. Suffering from it every day, kidnapping, every day they hold people hostage. Which they hear somebody was saying that the money inside the bush for this country, the money where they inside bush for this country, plenty pass where they inside bank. If you don't know the meaning of that thing, where I thought so, now you cause Abi. I'm going to show you another video now, where you see whether a testimony this woman they read of what happened to some people. My brother, don't let anybody deceive you. The only way that is safe for you to travel now is by air. But not everybody feel they afford that. Now they pay me. Now they pay me. Because suppose everybody feel they afford that. When you they follow air, they travel. Because if you follow land or water anywhere travel, you go, you come back. You don't know what God do for you. You don't know. Just see this video, make you see what God do for this. Make you see what happened to this family. So they vow, say, as they go back to where they so, they will never in their life step their feet in Nigeria again. Why? Because of insecurity. The people return and say, people they leave this country every day. They are not living mostly because of greener pasture. They are living because of insecurity. This country and anything will just happen to you. Will happen to you like that. Free of charge. Nothing will happen. When I watch this video, when I share. Very what they know it is a sub for our country.
The driver felt the wagon's tires rupture and decided to park the car with the hope of changing the tires. It was like a film. In a GC, motley crowd of armed men in military uniform came out of the bush. They fired at the boot of the car. Ahead of us, 5 of them came out of the bush. Another 2 came from the rear. My daughter screamed, "Mommy, Daddy, what's going on?" There was no time to say a word. They marched us through into the bush, firing into the sky. They hit me on my chest, hit my daughter on her head. Blood oozed. At this time, it was better to kill me. I shouted at one of the armed men. His response was hell. He went straight for my private part, tore my dress with his gun. The others ripped my dresses. I was left with my undies. My husband and my daughter started crying. 2 of them dug their teeth into my breasts. While attending a secondary school in Adamawa, I had lived with some Fulani, so I understood a few Fulani words. I started bleeding, at least for my daughter. To my shock, at gunpoint, they removed the dress of my little girl. One of them carried her on his head as a baby, on his head as my baby struggled, shouting, "Daddy, Mommy, what's going on? Help me!" I could not help myself. We marched for 9 hours. I was half naked. My daughter was totally naked. Her tears was like a stream of blood on her cheeks. Our phones had been seized. We ended up in an ungoverned region in the thick of the forest. We met a well-organized group. There were some kidnapped victims. I saw 2 women, 2 ladies and 3 men. There were some people with their legs chained to trees. They were as if half dead. We were separated. I was separated from my husband. My daughter was taken away. I only heard her screaming intermittently. I did not know what they were doing to her. These men, now about 2 dozen, had a full kitchen. They had a huge camp and a traditional medical team. How can they say they don't know where these people are? How can they say that? But the camps appeared isolated from each other. We heard noises afar, indicating it might be nuclear settlements of camps. Right in my presence, I saw them pack the remains of a woman. They took her and buried her a few meters away from us. She had tribal marks. I cannot describe the agony of 6 days in captivity in this little piece. I cannot talk about how they asked my husband to choose between myself being raped or his daughter being raped. My husband broke down in uncontrollable tears. One of them hit him saying, "Yoruba bastard, you dey cry, idiot." They now gave him an option that he should be raped by one homosexual among them. My husband, a devout Muslim. My husband is a devout Muslim. He told them that homosexual and rape of any kind was against Islam. They hit him with the butt of AK-47. What do you know about Islam? You can imagine, you are being asked to choose between being raped by a homosexual, your daughter just 9 years old, or your wife being raped. They gave the fourth option. If you fail to choose one, we would rape your daughter, rape you, the man, and rape me, the wife. I made myself the sacrificial lamb. My husband begged, saying they should name any price. One of them asked him to bend down. 3 beastly criminals sat on his back, jumping until he was too weak to stand. I was not allowed to put on any additional clothes. Imagine they rape you all night and they stop you from putting on any clothes for 24 hours. The rain fell once. I became a relic at a sexual museum for the armed men who in turn addressed me and asked questions about my financial standing. New Fulani men joined the camp. They organized military training for the new Fulani men that came, teaching them how to shoot and walk through circles of glowing fire. They were not released until after 6 days. We were not released until after 6 days. We had to walk the same zigzag journey back to the main road, our eyes blindfolded. During the negotiation to pay, they said the money was not for them alone, that they had to settle those who sent them. For me, I see a thriving organized crime supported by powerful political interests. Now, I do not think we were released to freedom after paying a whopping 8 million naira. I do not think we can ever be free. We can never be free from the anguish, the psychological trauma, the nightmares we suffered, the occasional fits of my daughter, her waking up at night behaving strangely, her asking the same question over and over, "Mommy, why? And I do not have an answer. In my life, I have never passed through a torture chamber like this. I do not think any society should let this happen. I do not know the fate of those we met and about 7 other people brought during the 6 days we were in captivity. What I saw was a nation that has collapsed, but pretends she lives. A people on life support. Crime is not restricted to Fulani people alone. We have Yoruba criminals, but I don't think Yoruba criminals are this beastly. These elements are savages. I can't imagine Yoruba thieves going to Sokoto or Meduguri to kidnap Fulani people and keep them in their own bushes. It gives me mental torture that this is happening, and some people are even trying to justify or look for excuses. Well, as a devout Muslim, myself and my family have taken solace in Allah. Not the Nigerian police, not the army, not the government. We have taken our faith the way it came, that this is supposed to be fate. I thank God that we successfully returned to where we live, thousands of miles from Nigeria. We thank God that we have made a vow. Never shall me, any of my children, or husband in our lifetime visit Nigeria again. Our remains, anytime we die, will also not be buried in Nigeria. It was a suggestion my daughter made, which we all adopted. I pity the country. I pity her people who continuously work like the living dead.